medical, just not, nothing new coming out of the Butler game. In terms of the people that were available there, typical, bruises and nicks coming out of a Big East game, but otherwise nothing new there. And then relative to Donovan, this was obviously, the initial diagnosis was, 3 to 4 week injury with Donovan. Obviously, we'll hit week 3 tomorrow, and obviously that's in the hands of our medical team, and obviously Donovan's recovery that way. But do not look for him tomorrow. At least on the court, he'll be, obviously he's a really, really large man, but he'll be on the bench.
Can open it up. I don't see any hands raised, but I'm sure you guys have questions. Go ahead, Kevin.
Dan, Tristan struggled a little bit recently shooting the ball. What can you do to get him going?
Yeah, I just think, Tristan does a lot. Does a lot for us. He's done a lot for us. He does a lot for us. I think, when he's, I think obviously the emergence of, Steph being able to, create more for the team offensively. We'll get Tristan hopefully better opportunities. Tristan, kind of, just kind of getting lost in the offense more. He takes a lot upon himself. His willingness to take the ball and make the plays is something that's obviously done, create a lot of success for us. We got to do a better job screening for him. We've got to create better opportunities for him. And then I think he's got to also try to, kind of get lost in the offense a little bit more and, use screens, more often, cut when he's not on ball in transition, kind of maybe just find ways to score and be efficient offensively that aren't related to, just creating for himself. Because there's a lot more holding, there's a lot more grabbing. Big East Conference games, like I've said a million times, they're very different than what non-conference games look like and what NCAA tournament games look like. So both for us and, a lot for us, but also for other teams.
Thanks.
Got it.
Go to Dave next.
Hey, Dan. I just wanted to ask you about.
Hey, Dave.
How's it going? Just wanted to ask you about.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Hopefully, you won't get mad at me for this question. So I'm not trying to make a Ryan Gomes type of thing here or anything like that. But what do you see from Desmond? What have you seen from Desmond Cloud this year? Seems like he's obviously a much bigger role than last year. And was he a guy that you guys, looked at on the recruiting trail a few years ago?
Yeah, he. I think what you just try to do, Dave, and full transparency is, it was we watched him a lot with Alex, and we. It was, you see his talent, you see the physicality, you see that big, that big wing guard, and I think if I'm not mistaken, or maybe I am, and I'm going to sound like a bozo, but I think we had the commitment from from Corey Floyd, and I think we kind of looked at, I think what we always look at in recruiting and building a culture is that we don't mislead recruits or recruit the same type of players that in terms of skill set. So I think we looked at Corey at the time as like that type of player that we kind of already committed to in the program, and I think we believed in him. Obviously, things don't always work out. Corey's not with us, and Dez is playing well at Xavier. So he hurt us a lot last year when we played them. He played really well. He's a tremendous player with a great future. You're not, none of us get them all right. I
Thanks.
thought our intentions were good. So we had the right intentions. But
Gotcha. Thank you.
Go to Roger, then Joe.
Yeah, now that Steph is back and seems to be feeling good and everything and confident in his knee, what can we expect to see from him? What are you seeing in practice that you think is going to translate into the game pretty soon?
yeah, my biggest it's probably a biggest fear because when you go back and we watch the film across the board, the way we grade out performances is it's a lot different from a coaching perspective, because there's just there's execution issues for all of our players, particularly the younger ones, that we may get away with in a game where we go under a screen in scouting report that we should have gone over on versus shooter, or we're not in the right spots. So I think the biggest challenge with Steph is he's had back-to-back, like really, I think he's really helped us, and he's had a couple of pretty good games, but we've got to keep him humble and keeping him kind of seeing the mistakes that he's making while keeping him confident, so that he doesn't start to think that this is easy, because it's really, really hard to play freshmen in college basketball today with the amount of older players, still the COVID players with that extra year, and just the overall age of players in the Big East right now it's pretty astounding. So our job right now, he's a great kid. Our defense is a disaster right now, so we need him to help us at that end. We need him to help us on the backboard, where we haven't been the same team as last year that way, and then we need him to help create shots. The way that Adama did for us last year, the way that Andre Jackson did for us last year. We lost some great shot creators, Joey, from last year's team.
Dan, Alex said after the Butler game that him and Sampson commit the stupidest fouls. How do you sort of correct that and fix that and sort of get them better at that? Because you really need those guys.
Yeah, I mean, you watch the film, you coach the heck out of them in practice. I think I made the point to the group that it's not a sustainable way to win for us. The lineups that we've been fortunate to win games against St. John's and Butler, and the quality that those two teams bring to the court, while missing Donovan and having some just crazy lineups on the court. we lost too many players from last year's team. I mean, for Alex and Samson to commit brutal fouls. I mean, it's crazy to think about the position we're in, considering the fact that they've been in foul trouble. But you lose Jordan and you lose Jordan, Andre, Adama, Naheem, Joey, and basically Donovan. I mean, Donovan's barely played in the Big East. He played a little bit of Seton Hall game, but and for the most part, he probably hasn't been himself since the start of the year. But and then we've only brought in one transfer player, so you know we're trying to do this, and the margin for error is very thin. It's thin with those guys on the court. It's not sustainable if they're not on the court.
I guess along the same lines, how much does that test you as a coach, I guess, to manage that with those guys on the bench, all the different lineups that you're throwing out? You know, how tough is that on you, and how much different is that to prepare for a game?
Yeah, listen, you're always dealing with decisions. It becomes more challenging. You know, it's everything's more challenging. But you know, I got you know, I think an incredible coaching staff, and I think that we've got a culture that's real. You know, we've got a real culture and a real belief in us coming off the championship, where it's in our bones that we believe we're supposed to win. So those are a couple of things that we have going for us. But yeah, I mean, like those guys getting in foul trouble and no Donovan right now is, you know, we're to be where we're at record wise and to be where we're at in terms of our overall resume. You know, we're at this point losing what we've lost, and Donovan either being out or not being himself physically since the start. You know, we just got to kind of, you know, just keep grinding out games. However we got to do it.
Thank you.
You got it.
Gavin, did you have one last one, or is everybody good?
Yeah, I've got one. Well, I guess first, your impressions of Xavier. We haven't really talked about them yet.
Yeah, the physicality, you know, the physicality and the rebounding, you know, it plays in Big East games. You could see the, you know, the improvement that you know is going to happen with Sean. He's one of the best coaches in the country. And then, you know, the physicality, the way they guard, the rebounding, you know, the way that they get through screens in a real physical way. It plays, you know, probably, you know, their improvement plus how well that plays in Big East conference games, as opposed to maybe some non-conference games or what have you. You know, in the environment that you get there at Xavier, it's as tough a place to play as you're going to play, you know, throughout the season. You know, it's probably one of the top 10 hardest places to go, you know, get a win, you know, when the crowd is into it.
And just one other quick one. You've talked about your championship DNA. How has that helped you, your team deliver in big moments and win games?
I think we stay calmer. You know, you see, you know, you obviously the camera likes to show, you know, the camera obviously shows my reaction to a call or you know, my excitement, passion when somebody makes a big play or what have you. But there also too is, you know, in huddles or in offensive calls or in critical moments, we do, you know, we show the composure and the confidence of a program that just, you know, accomplished the biggest thing in the sport and takes to court with that type of self-belief, you know, from the coaches, you know, through everyone associated with the program. There's a belief we have a belief system that's shared, and so yeah. I mean, I wish they would show the other coach standing at the exit mid-court out of the box as much as they show me, making funny, goofy faces or showing intensity.